Hey guys, welcome to Film World Community. It's me, your host, Micah Pendleton, and let's get straight on into it. We are a day late on this episode. I'm very sorry about that, but that is because I have relatives visiting from out of town, and it got me a little bit behind. But we've got Film World Community now, and premiere prep is going to be on schedule for Friday. We'll get more into what that episode is going to be later on in the show. So first, let's get into some questions as usual, and later we'll have our movie suggestion of the episode and other things such as that. Now, starting off with a Film World viewer named Britt, he says, I know you said you were working on short films, but are you also planning on shooting BTS? Very simply, absolutely. Premiere Prep is the anchor show, but there's that other show called Action, and we had one series on that, but if you recall, Action is actually going to be a behind-the-scenes show. That's the whole point of it, is to be behind the scenes. So we're going to get a complete action series on this upcoming short I've got that, unfortunately, the shooting date had to be moved forward a few weeks, but we should be filming that very, very soon. But absolutely, to answer your question, there will be a lot of behind the scenes for every single short film that we do. All right, next question is from DJ Minecart. He says, I have a question. I've been vlogging recently with my smartphone, and video looks pretty good, but the audio I would like to be better. I would not like a lapel mic for it because I don't want this weird cord in the frame at all time. I looked at Amazon for shotgun mics for smartphones, and there was just one result. Thanks. Well, DJ Minecart, I did a little bit of looking into it for you, and you're not the only one who has this problem. And 3 different companies that I found have actually answered this for you. And I have linked below 3 different options for shotgun mics. And one of them I've got right here is actually a Rode shotgun mic called the Video Mic ME. And it looks pretty good. It's on the pricey side for the kind of mic that it is. It is $59, which is a little bit steep there. But it definitely looks good, and being a Rode product, I'm sure the audio quality is fantastic. But there are other options as well for you, such as this Movo MA200, which looks pretty decent for 20 bucks. You could definitely try that. And then the other option I found is called the Amperage Mighty Mic S for iPhone. And this one also looks pretty good, but it's also on the pricier side of $50. Still cheaper than the Rode by $10, but this one looks pretty good as well. And it even comes with a windscreen, so that's pretty good right there. So hopefully that answers your question, and definitely check out the links below to, of course, get one. And let me know, definitely on the Film World forum especially, if you try it out, and I would love to see the episode. Next question is from F-Frame. He says, I know this channel is a filming channel, and I think it's a very good one. But you are having not much views for the good work. I love your tutorials, you really should make more. Not just because they have more views, but because they get a little bit more followers. Do you understand my point of view? Yes, I do. And that is why Premiere Prep is back in full swing, and Film World Community is back in full swing. Film World as a whole is back in full swing. We're doing 2 episodes a week. I've been up on that for a little while now, and it's still going strong. Have no plans on stopping it. And the biggest way that the channel can grow is going to be through you guys. So if you want to help out Film World, the best way you can do so is by liking videos, and a big one is sharing videos. That really helps. But just commenting, being active, checking out the Film World website and doing the form and all that kind of stuff, commenting, as I've already stated, is just be an active member of Film World, and that would help me out the most, and Film World in general. So thank you guys very, very much. Film World is already amazing, but it can get even better thanks to you guys. So definitely do that. Sharing videos is huge. So please share videos. And the last question comes from Ono Vox. He says, so how do low frame rates relate to shutter speed and shooting in low light situations? Okay, well, this is a little bit more of an in-depth question that really should have its own Premiere Prep episode, which probably will happen in the future. But a very brief explanation about like how shutter speed can affect low light temperatures. This one's probably a pretty simple explanation, because the shutter defines how long light is exposed to the sensor or film, if you're lucky enough to be using some film cameras or something like that. But it's basically just how long it's sitting there on the sensor exposing it. So when you use a high shutter speed, you're really capturing very, very fast. Doesn't give much time for that light to ingrain itself on the sensor. But when you're shooting at a slow shutter speed, it sits there and the light just stays on the sensor and allows it to really burn in that data, and it can increase better low light performance. But things that are not good for high shutter speeds, or low shutter speeds I should say, is you get a lot more motion blur, which can be good or it can be bad, depending on what you want. Look at Saving Private Ryan, it was shot at a very high shutter speed for that kind of look. You couldn't have done that with a low shutter speed. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. It really depends on the look you want and also what you can do technically with the sort of lighting situation that you have. So definitely keep that in mind. So that wraps it up for the questions. Thank you guys so much for submitting those. Super fun ones and super good ones. Keep them coming. Make sure you ask questions on this video for the next episode of Film World Community. Now let's get into our movie suggestion of the week. It's sponsor time, and this episode of Film World Community is sponsored by Edit Share Lightworks. The Lightworks video editor has been used on some of the finest films in cinema history. In fact, almost all of Premiere Prep Season 4 has been edited inside Lightworks, and it's done a phenomenal job. Once I started using Lightworks, I reached out to them and said, will you please come sponsor my channel? And they said yes. And they are hooking you guys up with a 40% discount coupon to use on their website to get 40% off an entire year subscription to the Lightworks editor. It's absolutely amazing. It's available on Windows, Linux, and Mac. And by using the coupon code film_world_2017, you can receive this 40% off. It is an absolutely amazing deal, and I highly recommend you take advantage of it because editing on Lightworks is just amazing, and I have absolutely loved it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to Edit Share Lightworks for sponsoring this episode of Premiere Prep. It's Film World Community for sponsoring this episode of Film World Community. Now let's get into our movie suggestion of the week. This one is kind of a fun one. It's actually kind of funny. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This is probably one of my favorite comedies of all time. Definitely my favorite comedy to come out of the 80s, and it is hilarious. I cannot tell you how funny this movie is, and I highly recommend you watch it. If you want to know the best way to get some good comedic timing and everything, this is it. So this is definitely my movie suggestion of the week. Link in the description of where you can buy it on Blu-ray on Amazon. It's just so funny. And it's not a very serious movie. It is not necessarily a filmy movie, but it is hilarious. And if you want a good comedy, this is it right here. So that is our movie suggestion of the week. And to conclude this episode of Film World Community, I have first a question for you guys. Would you like Film World Community to be in form of like a half-hour long podcast? Because I have actually been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, like Hey Indie Filmmakers, which is amazing and highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. And I've been thinking, well, maybe I could turn Film World Community into like a half-hour podcast that would also, of course, stay on YouTube. And that would just be the funnest thing for me because I love the idea of doing a podcast. So if you guys would like that, let me know in the comments below and I will definitely look into that. But of course, I need to know that it would be a worthwhile investment for me. And finally, the last order of business is Premiere Prep coming this Friday. It is going to be a super cool episode on how to render composited scenes in Blender. 2 episodes in a row on Blender. Pretty fun stuff. Now, a lot of people, since pretty much I started the channel, have asked me, how do I render in Blender? And it's really kind of simple, but it can be kind of a curve for some beginners. So I definitely think it's going to be a good episode and one that a lot of people will like, especially when it pertains to compositing within Blender. So that is going to be a great episode, and I highly recommend you check in for that this Friday. Alright guys, that concludes this episode of Film World Community. Thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for the questions, and thank you for being film worlders and being active on the channel. Make sure you like this video, share this video, comment, and subscribe. I'm your host, Micah Pendleton. Remember, live your life one frame at a time, and I will catch you next time.